Hello everyone. Life often tests love in its harshest storms, where every drop of rain feels like a question to the heart. In the middle of the storm, will Dee have time to finish the house and propose to Huyen? The heavy rain pounds against the walls. The wind shakes the fragile frame yet within. A promise still burns. Heavy rain tests love. Is Dee strong enough to keep his word to Huyen? This is not only a fight against nature, but against fear, doubt, and time itself. And in the end, love must prove whether it can stand stronger than the storm. The wind howled through the night, carrying with it the heavy scent of rain and fear. The river swelled with restless waters, and trees bent low as if whispering warnings to anyone who dared stand against the storm. In the middle of this chaos stood a small, fragile house by the river bank, where Huyen held her daughter Maya close, listening to the thunder that seemed to echo her own heartbeat. Dee knew the storm was coming long before it reached them. He had been working for weeks, silently, tirelessly, trying to finish the new house stronger, safer, a place where Huyen and Maya could finally feel secure. He promised himself that once the house was ready, he would kneel before Huyen, confess his love openly, and ask her to spend the rest of her life with him. But now, as the storm raged earlier than expected, time was no longer on his side. When the government messengers warned the villagers to prepare for evacuation, Dee's first thought was not of his own safety but of Huyen and Maya. Without hesitation, he rushed to their home, ropes in hand, determined to shield them from whatever the storm would bring. He found Huyen trembling, not for herself but for her child, her hands raw from trying to steady the leaking roof. Maya, innocent and wide-eyed, clutched a small bundle of sweet potatoes, their only food left for the day. Together, Dee and Huyen tied down the roof, their fingers numb and clothes soaked, the storm lashing at their backs. "We can't stay here," Dee said firmly, though his voice carried both urgency and tenderness. "The river is rising. Come with me, both of you. My house will keep you safe." The journey was perilous. Rain blinded their eyes. Wind shoved them from every side. And when Dee's motorbike failed, they pushed it through the mud with sheer willpower. Maya, half asleep in her mother's arms, shivered but did not cry. Even Babi, the loyal dog, and the little rabbit were carried along, wrapped in blankets against the cold. Through it all, Dee's strength and determination became the pillar that Huyen leaned on. At last, they reached his home. It was simple, not yet finished, but compared to the frail riverside shack, it was a fortress. Inside, they lit a fire, and for the first time that day, warmth spread through their frozen hands. Dee opened a packet of instant noodles, humble, but to them it tasted like a feast. Around the fire, with Maya laughing at the sight of the rabbit nibbling noodles, a fragile joy bloomed, defying the storm outside. That night, Dee stayed awake while Huyen and Maya slept under dry blankets. His eyes lingered on them, the woman he loved, the child he longed to protect, and his heart ached with both fear and hope. He whispered silently to himself, "Hold on, Huyen. When the storm passes, I will finish the house. And when it is ready, I will keep my promise. I will ask you to be my wife." Outside, the storm raged with merciless force, but inside that humble home, love burned brighter than the wind, and hope stood stronger than the rain. Dee worked tirelessly through the stormy days. Every drop of rain that struck the bamboo roof seemed to echo the beating of his heart. He had promised Huyen a safe home, a shelter where she and little Maya would no longer have to tremble in the night. The unfinished walls stood like silent witnesses to his determination, while the muddy ground beneath his feet turned each step into a struggle. But Dee did not stop. Even when the wind howled through the hills and the rain blurred his vision, he tightened each rope, secured each plank, and whispered to himself, "For Huyen, for Maya." Inside the small temporary corner of the house, Huyen was preparing a pot of warm rice porridge. Maya sat close to her mother, hugging Bibi the dog, listening to the storm outside. She looked at her mother's worried face and asked softly, "Mom, will Uncle D be okay?" Huyen paused, her heart tightening. She wanted to reassure her daughter, yet she herself could not silence the fear gnawing inside. Still, she smiled gently, wiping a strand of hair from Maya's forehead. "Yes, Maya, Uncle D is strong. He will keep us safe." When Dee finally returned, drenched and shivering, his hands red from carrying wood in the cold rain, Huyen rushed to cover him with a blanket. Her eyes, filled with unspoken gratitude, lingered on him longer than words could allow. She wanted to say thank you. She wanted to tell him how much his presence meant, but the storm outside seemed to swallow her voice. That night, as the storm raged, they huddled together in the half-finished house. Dee sat awake, watching the roof as if his willpower alone could hold it against the wind. Huyen, leaning against him, whispered softly, "Dee, even if the house isn't perfect yet, you've already given us a home." Dee turned to her, his voice low but steady. "Huyen, once this storm passes, I will finish the house. And then I will ask you something I've been keeping in my heart." Her eyes widened slightly, her breath catching. She knew what he meant. Outside, the storm screamed louder, but inside, a quiet warmth blossomed between them, stronger than fear, stronger than the rain. When dawn finally broke, the storm had quieted. The sky, once heavy with rain, now stretched pale and clear, as though the heavens themselves had been washed clean. Water still dripped from the roof, and the yard was covered with puddles that reflected the golden light of morning. Dee rose early, his body aching from the long night of watchfulness. He stepped outside, breathing deeply the fresh scent of wet earth. The house stood, battered but still firm, just like his own heart. Huyen came out a little later, carrying a small pot of tea. Her eyes were tired, yet soft with relief. She placed the pot on the wooden plank that served as their table and said quietly, "Thanks to you, Dee, we made it through." He smiled faintly, his hands still rough and scarred from the work. "Not thanks to me alone. Your strength kept us together, Huyen, and Maya's laughter. That is what gives me the courage." As if on cue, Maya came running out, barefoot, splashing in the puddles. Her laughter rang like bells across the yard, and even Bibi barked happily, chasing her. For a moment, life felt weightless, free from the shadows of the past. Dee watched them with tenderness, then slowly turned back to Huyen. His voice trembled, but his resolve was firm. "Huyen, the house is almost done. Soon it will be a place where no storm can harm us. But there is one thing missing." She looked at him curiously, her hands tightening around the warm cup of tea. Dee stepped closer, his eyes meeting hers. "I want this home to belong not only to me, but to us. You, me, and Maya. Huyen, will you let me be the one who stands beside you for all the storms and all the mornings after?" For a long moment, silence wrapped around them. The only sound was Maya's laughter and the gentle dripping of rainwater from the roof. Huyen's eyes grew moist, her lips trembling as she tried to speak. She whispered, almost to herself, "After everything, I never thought I could find a safe place again. But with you, Dee, it feels like I've already come home." And then, with a shy but certain nod, she answered the question that had been waiting in both their hearts. From the story of Dee, Huyen, and little Maya, we can see that true love is not measured in grand words or expensive gifts, but in the courage to stand firm during storms, the heavy rain, the unfinished house, and the danger from the flood were not only challenges from nature, they were also silent tests of love, sacrifice, and commitment. Dee's hands, rough from work, carried the weight of both bricks and promises. Huyen's quiet patience and Maya's innocent trust gave him strength to keep building. Even as the sky grew darker, in moments of fear, what mattered was not perfection, but the determination to protect each other, to hold on, and to believe that tomorrow would be brighter. The lesson is simple yet powerful. Storms will come into every life, sometimes as wind and rain, other times as hardship, loneliness, or doubt. But if we walk through them together, with faith and kindness, no storm can truly destroy us. Love is not about avoiding the rain, but about finding the courage to stand side by side under it. Dear friends, if life has ever placed you in the middle of a storm, remember the story of Dee, Huyen, and Maya. Remember how a man's quiet strength and a woman's gentle heart could turn a house of bamboo and mud into a true home. The storm may shake the roof, but it cannot shake love that is built on trust. The rain may flood the ground, but it cannot wash away promises made with sincerity. So, in your own life, when difficulties surround you, do not lose hope. Be like Dee, work with your hands, but also with your heart. Be like Huyen, hold on with patience and faith. And be like little Maya, never stop smiling, because even the smallest joy can light up the darkest day. In the end, storms will pass, but love that is nurtured with sacrifice will remain forever.